Happy draft day, everybody. There's it's really kind of funny, Sean. The Nothing happens in this. Okay, no, there's no movement. There's just simply people calling names. And if you look at it, right tonight, the NFL draft is in Detroit. It's 8 o'clock on ABC, ESPN, ESPN Plus, NFL Network, and streaming on NFLplus.com. And we recommend you use Sling for a 7-day tryout if you don't have any other way to watch it from a streaming standpoint. ESPN Radio, Fox Radio, they're going to have it. There's going to be an NBA playoff game, two NBA playoff. Yeah, one NBA playoff game tonight, an NHL playoff game tonight, and not a complete slate, a good slate of baseball. And you can add the NBA playoff game and the NHL playoff game numbers together, and they still won't hit the number. I'm guessing that ABC and ESPN get for the draft.
It's such a. I mean, look, it's NFL, so like you
Right.
kind of know that stuff. It just. I mean, you could just like not watch it and just like read
Yeah.
like who gets drafted afterwards and stuff like that.
Right.
And it's the same thing, but like it's just so big. I mean, it's kind of like, I would always get up for the Champions League draws and stuff
Mhm.
like this. And it's like, I started to figure out, well, if I don't get up, I can just read it when I wake up.
Right.
Like, it's
Or
a
you
big
can watch a
fast.
movie. Right. You could watch a movie. You
Yeah.
could, there's other things to do. I remember the first draft that I went to was at the Waldorf Astoria Hotel um, back in the day. And they used to hold it there. And it used to be 11 o'clock in the morning. And they started at 11 o'clock. They went through the first round. Then, because that's the 15-minute deal, then broke for lunch, came back, and finished the rest of the draft. It was one day. It was at the Waldorf Astoria Hotel in the ballroom. That was it.
Yep.
Then moved over to the Felt Forum over at the Garden and stayed there for quite a while. And now they're moving it all over the country. And, it's Detroit this year, and they got cities actually even bidding for them. And it's, again, you, after what, maybe the first 5 or 6 picks, the people who get drafted aren't even there. I mean, they're at home waiting for a phone call to find out where they're going to go.
And I always, first round, it's cool. You're a first round
Yeah.
pick, whatever. Like I always, there's people that, that's when it's like, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. Oh yeah, this guy is the best, and blah blah blah. Like, what are you talking about, man? Like, I know these guys are good. Like a lot of times, now with the scouting, I mean, especially the linemen and the punters and the kickers,
Yeah.
you can find you can find players. Obviously, the quarterback from the 49ers, obviously Mr. Irrelevant. You can find players in all these rounds. But people make a big deal about the first round picks, obviously. But it's especially this year. I mean, it's such a quarterback driven league here that the first 4 picks might be quarterbacks. Well,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I who's who's gonna? I mean, C.J. Stroud went second, and he looks unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of people saying maybe I don't know who's going to be the best quarterback. I think people are saying Daniels, and I have Caleb Williams. Obviously, if Caleb Williams would have came out after last year, or before last year, he would have been. I think he would have been a lot more highly thought of. But people now they have another year to to get all that stuff, and all find faults as it is. He's still going to go one, but.
Well, I think the problem with Caleb Williams is he had such a great junior
Yeah.
winning the Heisman Trophy because of two things. USC had a great offensive line, and he had two All-American receivers who were drafted in the first and second round in last year's draft. Okay. This year, this past season, 2023, he didn't have the offensive line. He didn't have the wide receivers. They finished 7-5. Okay. And he didn't look great. Now, for some reason, Chicago has rated Caleb Williams as the best quarterback. And they're not the only ones. A lot of people have. Amedeus, myself, and Mark, who was here yesterday, we feel Jalen Daniels is probably the best because of his mobility. And look, so does Caleb Williams has mobility. That's not the point. The point is Caleb Williams will go to Chicago and be behind an offensive line that didn't protect anybody last year. So what is going to make his experience different, than last year? I mean, they literally gave up on their first round draft choice last year and literally gave him the Pittsburgh. So I don't understand it. I really don't.
I actually think he's going to be pretty good. I mean, I think he's a pretty good player. I
think he'll be fine, but he doesn't have the offensive line.
And they're getting, the projected picks, or maybe they get him the wide receiver from Washington, Dinze, or however you pronounce it. Rome. I'll call him Rome. Who's a weapon, and maybe they sign a couple players. Maybe they trade for an offensive lineman. I think the Bears are probably in better shape than Bryce Young was with the Panthers last year.
True.
And I think they're probably a little closer. I think once again, if he came out after the 22 season, when he wins the Heisman, I don't think you see as much of these things. I think the longer you get to see, he's under the spotlight at that point. Daniels, if you look at the first game against Florida State, he wasn't very good in that game. My Seminoles made him look pretty average, to be honest. And I know he got better as the season went along, but I think they're not talking enough about how the Florida State defense is going to have a lot of players playing in the pros.
Right.
They were really good last year. Yeah. They made him look average. Florida State beat LSU 2 years in a row, and he wasn't very good in that game. And I just think, it's subjective where, you had all this scrutiny under Caleb Williams because he was already the Heisman Trophy winner. And, if he would have came out, it would have been the same thing as Daniels is now. He came out after his Heisman Trophy. He's the star, all this stuff. And, you get an extra year looking at the tape and all this, and everybody finds faults in him because he's under the mix. Whereas Daniels really wasn't, because LSU had lost, 3 games. He could just play. So, I guess
my point on Caleb Williams is this. And that is, if you told me that Caleb Williams was going to go to Atlanta, right, I would say that would be amazing. That would be an amazing fit. They got a good offensive line. They got outstanding receivers. That would be a home run. I'm just saying that it's not Caleb Williams' fault that the people that he's going to go to have, and this is, I've been around the NFL for over almost 40 some years. Chicago has not had a good quarterback in the entire time that I've been there. And Jim McMahon, who was the quarterback for during that that's the run that got them to the Super Bowl, was not a specifically great quarterback. But hell, they made the Super Bowl with Rex Grossman as a quarterback. But
Yeah.
they haven't had a lot of good success in quarterback. Has not been a key point for the Chicago Bears in their history.
I think he's gonna. That division is weird. I know
Hmm.
the Lions. They won. They won a lot of games, and they got to
Right.
the NFC Championship game, and maybe people are saying they're the favorites, but and the Packers, Jordan Love
Hmm.
didn't win a lot of games in the regular season, but Vikings will probably be better. They have some picks, but I just I it's going to be I think it would be interesting. I mean, you got all
Hmm.
these teams. I mean, I woke up today wanting to see, they announced when the Premier League schedule is going to be announced for next
Hmm.
year. I was all excited about that.
Hmm.
The real football, as they say,
Yeah.
uh, on a, the season's still, everybody's kind of fighting for the title and everything, and they've already announced that June 18th they're gonna, you know, have the new schedule out, and
Hmm.
it's basically 90 days after the season ends. There's going to be real games. It's just, I think it's the same thing with the NFL. It's a
Hmm.
news cycle. You have this thing, and you have the draft, and then you have the mini camp for the rookies,
Hmm.
and you have the OTAs,
Right.
and you know, it's always they want to keep that cycle going. Keep them
Hmm.
in the news and everything. No
Tell
one's
you
even
what,
talking
let's.
about the UFL. I don't even know what's going on with the UFL.
Yeah, there's a lot of people at the UFL that don't know what's going on with you. I'll tell you what. Let's fly through this first round real quick. Then we
Okay.
want to get to the news about what Apple is trying to do.
Shoot,
All right.
hey, yeah, we talking. We gotta get your brother on. We got huge news.
Yeah, yeah. Let me see. We'll have to check that. All right. First round. We know Caleb Williams, University of Southern California quarterback, is going to the Chicago Bears. Number one. Washington stays solid. They're going to get Jalen Daniels this year. So they got last year's Heisman Trophy winner Jalen Daniels going number two. 2 years ago, Caleb Williams, the Heisman Trophy winner, going number one. You got Minnesota going up. Now they're trading with the Patriots, according to CBS. I don't think this is going to happen because I don't think the Patriots want to lose the opportunity to get a quarterback. Drake May, North Carolina. If he went to Minnesota, I think it would be a good move. If
Yeah,
he goes to the Patriots, you're going to see the same thing happen to him that happened to the kid from Alabama, uh,
Mac Jones.
Mac
Mac
Jones.
Jones.
You're going to see Mac Jones 2.0 because Drake May and Mac Jones are not that different. He's a little taller and he's a little, weighs a little more, but you know, if he's in a uniform that is purple and white for Minnesota, I think he's got a good shot. If that uniform is red, white, and blue for the Patriots, you're looking at a little bit more of a mess. Another mock trade. Now this is the Arizona Cardinals trading down to Denver for J.J. McCarthy, the quarterback, the kid out of out of Michigan, right? I can see this as a trade, and I'll tell you what. The Cardinals do not need a quarterback. They're looking for wide receiver help and they're looking for offensive line help. They can get that further down in the draft. So they might be able to stock up some draft choices here, giving the Broncos the opportunity to get J.J. McCarthy. So that trade might, because there's always a trade in the first round to trade down. The trade down from the Cardinals standpoint to me makes some sense because again, their needs there's going to be players that they can use down, down later in the first round. And if they can pick up a couple of, draft picks in the third, fourth, fifth, even sixth round, right? They can stockpile players. So I think that actually wouldn't be a bad move for the Cardinals. I don't know if they'll make it, but if they do, I don't think that would be a bad move because they're only flipping, right? According to this, they're going to go ahead and flip that pick, the first round pick, right? The Cardinals will flip the first round pick to Michigan. I mean to Denver. Then they'll trade that pick, the Denver pick. Follow me on this, to the Chargers, and then they'll get Marvin Harrison on the fifth pick of the draft. It's a lot of convoluted trading, but I can see both the Chargers and the Cardinals moving up because, um, or trading, I guess would be the best way of putting it, because they don't have a need that they can't fill further down the list.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I think when you listen to some of the mocks, I mean, you think, I know Harbaugh maybe wants to trade out of that spot there because,
Yeah.
they might not necessarily need a player right there. Maybe they want to get some more value. Obviously, if you want to get a quarterback and you want to ensure you're getting one of the top four quarterbacks, you got to get
Mhm.
to four. I don't know that JJ McCarthy is worth the number four pick.
No.
Um, unless you need a quarterback, you know, I think, I'm sure Mark talked about Penix a little bit. I think I remember
Yeah.
him talking,
He likes
about,
he likes Bennett.
yeah, I
I
mean,
like
I
Penix.
think there's the
Mhm.
ability to get Penix there a little bit down the,
Mhm.
down the thing a little bit. I mean, the Broncos
Mhm.
could maybe, roll the dice and see if they can get Penix at 12, unless they like McCarthy. But yeah, trades are tough because, I mean, we're just, a lot of this is smoke and mirrors right now because, you want to protect the value. The Patriots are saying, yeah, we'll deal it because maybe, they know they can get their player. Maybe they like Penix and they know they can get him at 10 or something like this. So,
Mhm.
until they're actually on the clock, it's
Yeah.
tough to do. So, but it's always interesting. I think there's, obviously Howie Roseman likes to do trades with the Eagles.
Mhm.
So I think you're going to see some moves here because once again, the best player in the draft is Marvin Harrison.
Mhm.
He's the most talented player and he's not a
Mhm.
quarterback. So,
Right.
the Cardinals need a wide receiver. So they could just say, I'm going to take the best player in the draft at 4.
Right.
So, the Chargers could probably do the same. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting.
Pick six. Big Blue. The Giants. Uh, Malik Neighbors, wide receiver, LSU. To me, the problem with Malik Neighbors, it's not a problem. So I shouldn't have said that. I will tell you that I think Malik Neighbors is very much like Waddle for Miami, right? He's got ridiculous speed. He's not big, but he's big enough. And so, if the Giants got him at 6, that would be a good move for them.
I think the problem, though, like, I mean, you see, Waddle was, what was his main problem last year? He wasn't available every game. He's
He got
banged
hurt.
up. Maybe
Yeah.
because he's not as big. And, if
Mhm.
you, the major problem with the Giants over the last few years is everybody's always hurt. So, you
True.
know, you're taking a chance on a guy who's very talented, but your main problem is your guys are always hurt. So, if you take this guy and he plays, 8 games and he's out for
Mhm.
10, he plays 10 games and he misses 7. Now, obviously he's a rookie, but you got to get
Mhm.
at some point, you got to get somebody who's going to be able to be there all the time. I mean, that's the
Right.
problem. They signed, they got rid of Barkley, or Barkley signed with the Eagles.
Mhm.
But you know, he wasn't really available for so many
Right.
times. I mean, he's a very talented player, and you know, Daniel Jones and down the list.
Mhm. And we'll see. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if the Giants tried to trade him. They may want to trade up and get a quarterback. So we'll have to see.
Yeah,
Uh, Tennessee in the 7 pick, Joe Alt, offensive tackle, Notre Dame, 6'7", 322. This is a kid who graduated from Notre Dame with a 4.2 grade average. He was an academic All-American. He's physically, he's a beast. And I think that if Tennessee could get him, that'd be a fantastic move for them because he's probably the best offensive lineman in the draft.
he's very good, and everybody, you know, every mock I've seen has, you know, him going at this point. You know,
Mhm.
uh, he's definitely the best lineman I think out there.
Yeah.
Um,
Here's Yeah, but you know what? Pick number 8 is your guy. Your guy from Florida State, Jared Verse,
yeah, he's a good player.
the edge rusher. He's a freak. 6'4", 260. The kid can
He's the
play.
kind of guy. Yeah, he's the Falcons pick at 8, right?
Yeah, he would go to Atlanta.
You know, he's the type of guy. I mean, you saw what a defensive player can do for Houston last year.
Hmm.
You know, obviously Stroud was so good, but you know, you see what Willie
Hmm.
Anderson, you know, you see the defensive player of the year could do as well. You know, he's the type of guy with his size and his speed and that team, you know, he could, that division's open. I mean, he's the type of guy that
Hmm.
could go in there and pick up, you know, 12,
Hmm.
13 sacks, 14 sacks, something like that. I mean, that's probably asking a lot, but, you know, cause havoc and maybe, you know, the Falcons all of a sudden maybe change that defense around and you know, they could win that division. That division is, you know, it's not great. Obviously, the Tampa Bay won it last year, but, you know,
Hmm.
how good they are.
I think that you also have to factor into the equation Raheem Morris, who's the new
Yes.
coach. And Raheem is a Monty, he's a Tony Dungy Monty um, um, Kiffin guy. So, you know, a Jared Verse in Raheem Morris's world is the kind of guy, and he's athletically capable of doing it. He could drop back in coverage and he could cover a tight end.
Yeah.
And he can do those kind of things, which drives offenses crazy because they don't know where the hell he's on. You know, when he lines up on the edge, they don't know if he's coming after the quarterback or dropping back to, you know, to make a play there. Which
Yeah, I
kid,
mean,
by the way, in college.
this is this draft is so offensive reliant. I mean, you see, you know, the picks are offense, 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 offense. But look, I mean, you know, you have these guys that can come in there, and you know, Houston had, you know, they had an idea when they traded back up last year,
Mhm.
uh, and to pick the, you know, the best defensive player in the draft.
Mhm.
And they had an idea, and these are the type of picks, these defensive players that could change games. It's not
Mhm.
always quarterbacks and wide receivers. I mean, if you can find a defensive player that could change games,
Yeah.
you know, it makes a big, you know, it makes that's why he's a top 10 pick right here.
Mhm. Well, and the other part of the equation is the old saying, right? That offense sells tickets, defense wins championships. And you know, I think that they didn't. I think one of the things that sold um, the Atlanta Falcons on hiring Raheem Morris is probably the fact that that you know McKay, who's the president of the team, knew him from Tampa Bay. I mean,
Yeah.
they go all the way back, and I think he realizes, look, we got a guy here who knows how to get defenses, working.
The
We can,
Chiefs didn't
we
win
can.
the Super Bowl last year because of their offense. The Chiefs won that game because their defense held,
Mhm.
San Fran down. I mean, obviously, overtime and all that, but the defense played out of their
Yeah.
minds for basically the entire game. I mean,
Well, the
that's
defense played that way most of the year.
yep.
They kept them in games. Now, here's again a potential mock trade. The Bears are at 9. If the Bears are at 9, they will pick a wide receiver. If the trade happens between the Bears and the Saints are going to go for an offensive lineman, and he's Olamula Fasanu, who is a Penn State guy. He's an offensive lineman, 6'6", 317. That's a massive offensive lineman. This is a guy, Mickey Loomis, the general manager of the Saints, wants absolutely desperately. I don't know that he would be gone in the ninth pick. I doubt, frankly, that he would. I mean, they probably don't have to trade this far up to get him, but we'll see. If the Bears hold that pick, I expect they'll pick a wide receiver
Yes.
to go with, to give somebody, to give him, to give a target to Caleb Williams. The Jets are at number 10. They got Oregon State's Talise Fauba, who is 6'6", 334. And they like him. And this is somebody, Joe Douglas, who's their general manager, thinks is really, really good. And he coached him in the Senior Bowl, and perhaps it's that Senior Bowl situation where he saw some things that he really liked about him.
Yeah. Like, that's interesting. Yeah.
Here's the guy who would be. They got another trade. CBS has another trade. This normally would be Minnesota's. Um, Minnesota Vikings and the New England. This would be the trade that gets that gets New England down in the draft, but gets the Vikings up in the draft. They've got New England picking Roman Amedeus, who's a wide receiver from Washington. He's the kid that Penix, threw the ball to. I don't see that. I would have to disagree. I think they got rid of their quarterback. They got to get a quarterback. So I would think that they may get Washington. They may stay at the University of Washington. This might be Michael Penix. It's darn sure not going to be a wide receiver. They don't need wide receivers. They need somebody who can throw the ball to wide receivers. So I don't know if that's going to be the thing. We'll see. Let's move up. All right, this is the Chargers in the trade that we talked about earlier with the Cardinals. If it's the Cardinals keeping this, if they keep that, we already said that's Marvin Harrison's coming to their side. If they trade it, and now the Chargers are here, they're going to go for an offensive lineman, which makes sense. J.C. Latman is their guy, Alabama. He's a solid guy, 6'6", 360. He's what they need, somebody that is going to keep, Mr. Fields from getting hurt. So that's the thing here. Okay, 13th pick, Vegas. They're going to go with Quinyon Mitchell, cornerback, according to this. I don't know. I mean, kid's from Toledo. Everybody loves him. He's for a corner. He's 6 foot, 196. That's not overly big, but it's not overly small either. Maybe. The Raiders don't strike me as a team that's going to open with a corner. They just don't. But we'll see. We'll see. All right. This one is the Bears. This was the trade we talked about earlier to the Saints. Byron Murphy, he's a defensive lineman from Texas. He's a good kid, but he's not tall. He's a space eater. He's 6'1", 308. He kind of clogs the middle. Again, we're just taking a shot in the dark here. If the Saints stay at that position, they may take him. I don't know. This is an offensive lineman defensive lineman a lot of people like. Brian Thomas, Indianapolis would be the pick there. He's a wide receiver out of LSU. He's one of the second receiver from LSU that would go in the first round if the CBS mock draft stays. And so you'd have Jalen Daniels and 2 wide receivers from LSU going in the first round. He would be perfect for Indianapolis because they can use the targets out there. So here's the thing. First round, 16th pick, Michael Penix Jr. will stay in Seattle, and this time he just go across town and play for the Seahawks. It's not something that would surprise me. Ryan Grubb, who's the Seahawks' new offensive coordinator, was, by the way, Penix's last year, not this year, was Penix's offensive coordinator and quarterback coach. Geno Smith's going to be 34 at the end of this year. So I could see Penix. I could see Penix going to Washington in that scenario because he already knows the OC, and the guy was his quarterback coach. So why wouldn't he, right?
Yeah.
All right, Jacksonville. Dallas Turner, edge rusher from Alabama. Look, one of the things we were talking about yesterday is if you get a defensive player from Alabama or Georgia, they're going to be able to the moment they step into your locker room, they will be able to start. Because, you have Kirby Smart in Georgia. You've got the fact that the coach has retired, but he's still got his guy in there from Alabama. So, yeah, you're getting a guy. The edge rusher, this is the best kid, probably second best to your boy from FSU. So, Dallas Turner, edge rusher, Alabama. Good pick for Jacksonville. They need defense. Wouldn't hurt. Teron Arnold, Philadelphia Eagles, 3rd round pick. He's a corner. He also is a member of the Tide. 6 foot, 196. Eagles need corners. They can help. I mean, you can always use a cornerback. I don't know if they need him, but wouldn't be a bad pick. Now we go to the Rams. They're going to go, and they're going to, again, stay in, according to CBS, the 19th pick, first round. They're going to stay in Los Angeles. They're going to go across town to Pasadena to get Liatu Latu, who is someone who they've liked for a long time. He's an edge rusher, and he's also a very talented kid. They do need defensive linemen, but if you can get an edge rusher, your defensive lineman, you can pick a guy that you need up later in the draft. So we'll see how that works. Pittsburgh in the 20th position, would be Troy Fatuo, who was also from the original Washington. He's a junior, 6'4", 317. He's an inside. He can be an offensive lineman. He can play defense. He's played both. He's also played linebacker. So that's pretty wild. I wouldn't be surprised if Pittsburgh picked up either a corner or a wide receiver, maybe even an offensive lineman. I think this one might be a stretch for Pittsburgh, just because of need. Miami's up next at 21. Graham Barton, he's an offensive tackle. He's from Duke, 6'5", 315. Cincinnati, Armis Mims, offensive tackle. From Georgia, Tyler Guyton would be the 23rd pick going to New England. I'm running through these because, folks, this far down, these are all just guesses. Dallas, Jordan Morgan, offensive tackle. 25th pick, Cooper DeJean, cornerback, Iowa, to the Green Bay Packers. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers would be next on the clock at 26. They get my favorite name player in the entire draft, Kool-Aid McKinstry, cornerback from Alabama, 6'1", 195. Bucks can use the corner. If he's there, he's one of the better. Houston, what a team they've put together. Defensive lineman out of Houston. Let's see, out of Illinois, Johnny Newton, defensive lineman, 6'2", 295. He's projected as an end. Buffalo at the 28th pick, and that's Adonai Mitchell. He's a wide receiver out of Texas. A lot of people like him. He's got good hands. He's not necessarily a guy that goes outside the numbers. He's a guy who's probably a slot receiver. But, look, Buffalo likes to have some of those just move the chains guys, and that's what this kid can do. The Lions, with the 29th pick of the draft, would go with Darius Robinson. He's out of the University of Missouri. He's an edge rusher. A lot of people like him because of his ability to play multiple positions, like as I said before, as a linebacker or whatever. Baltimore, with the 30th pick, goes cornerback out of Clemson. They do need secondary help, so it's very possible they would go that route. Carolina, with the 31st pick and their second pick in the first round, would go Brock Bowers, who's considered the top tight end, very much a Gronk type kind of guy out of Georgia. He's 6'4", 240. And the 32nd pick, the last pick of the first round, Xavier Worthy, wide receiver, Texas. A lot of people like him. And certainly the Kansas City Chiefs can use some serious help at wide receiver. So all those picks, as we said before, folks, don't hold us to any of them because it's a mock draft. So we'll find out tomorrow how close these guys came. So that's your mock draft preview. Once again, everything starts at 8 o'clock tonight on ABC First. Tomorrow night it'll be over on ESPN and ABC. It's ABC, ESPN, ESPN Plus, NFL Network, NFL Plus, and that's where you can watch what's going on. Okay, so there you go, having fun. All right, let's talk now about what might happen going on with Apple and soccer.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is already happening. The FIFA Club World Cup is going to be in America. 32 teams from around the world. It's replacing the Club World Cup that took place every year, which is the winners of every continent. Obviously, Manchester City last year. So it's the last 4 years. Manchester City and Chelsea from England. Real Madrid won in 2022. Real Madrid will win again, hopefully in 2024. So they're already in. And then all these other teams that have won, South America, North America, everything. So they're going to have this tournament.
I'm sorry, I was just going to ask you a quick question. So that would mean that there could be MLS teams in it.
Yes, Seattle.
Right.
Seattle will be in it, and then there could be some MLS teams in it because it'll be depending on your ranking. Obviously, right. I think there's 12 European teams. So there's a whole ranking system now. And the teams from
Mhm.
Europe are already locked in. I think it's Bayern Munich. Obviously, they're the 2020 winners, but just from their rankings and stuff like that. Borussia Dortmund is in it. I know PSG is in it. There's some other teams, but you know, the year before the World Cup, the teams that the countries that host would always host this Confederations Cup, and
Mhm.
it used to be the winners of the Euros, like, you know, it would have been Italy and America and whatever. But, you know, we're going to go bigger than that. We're going to make it a 32 team tournament, month long, June and July. And it's going to be in America. Hopefully, the final is in New Jersey, so I can go see it. They're going to play in the stadiums. They're going to play. You know, it's a dry run, basically a
Mhm.
year out from the World Cup, and
Mhm.
in a exclusive. This has never ever been done in the history of
Mhm.
FIFA. The entire tournament in every country around the world is
Mhm.
set to be streamed by Apple TV,
Mhm.
and the Apple TV soccer is run by who runs it? I forget, Jim. Who runs the Apple TV
Well,
soccer?
it's run by the MLS with the help of a brother of mine. So yes,
That's correct. So Jim's
the
brother. How about that?
so there
So
you go. I'm sure that
I think it's
you
big
would be
because
happy to take.
the people in Europe are like, you know, my friend texted me last night
Mhm.
from Northern Ireland and said football's done. Like, it's, you know, it's all, you know, this is it's gonna be ruined and stuff. And I said, why? He's like, it's streaming. And I'm like, listen, man, you guys just like you don't understand how big America is right now. We run like I'm
Mhm.
just like, listen, man, like you guys have had your turn with the Formula One. There's 3 races in America. Why? Because it's
Mhm.
the fastest growing motorsport in the
Mhm.
in the country. It
Mhm.
blows up because of Amazon and the streaming and
Mhm.
app and, you know, ESPN Plus.
Mhm.
Soccer, football, as I
Mhm.
sometimes would call it, is
Mhm.
absolutely blowing up in America. The World Cup in 2026 is only going to take it to another level. The Premier League breaks records all the time. Premier League gets
Mhm.
higher ratings than uh hockey does. It get higher ratings
Mhm.
than most basketball games most nights.
Mhm.
Obviously not playoffs right now.
Mhm. Champions League does well on Paramount Plus. Um, you know, you look at all the different, even the MLS is getting better numbers with what they're doing with what they're doing, you know, on Apple. Uh, when Sean, if Sean can get back here, um, when what happens with Apple is they like to get the entire package, whatever that is that they want. They get the entire package, and so we're looking at the potential of of Apple going. Apple did make a run at the. Apple
I,
did make. I was just saying that when
I,
Apple.
I got a phone call. The phone
Oh,
started to
okay,
ring. That's what happened. You
there
know,
you
when the
go.
phone rings and you're on your phone, it kicks
It
everything
knocked you
off.
off. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But
so I was just
streaming is
saying.
everything right now.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Paramount Plus and what they've got a tremendous amount of soccer on. You've got Peacock, you've got ESPN Plus, you got Apple. Apple likes to do things everything. In other words, they like everything Apple does is streamed worldwide, and that's what they want. They want the international rights to everything. People are unwilling to do that. The MLS was not. And what they're doing is they're finding out, they meaning people around them, are finding out that what Apple wanted was probably a smart move on their part. And
Yep.
so, you know, the fact that the vast majority of games of the Premier League here in this country are seen on Peacock. It's not, it's not a bad thing. You watch it, I watch it. It's not hard. It's not hard to find. So I would think that,
it's a wave of the future.
yeah, but why would someone in England, where it's so hard, they have to pay TV tax and all that other stuff. Why would they?
They can't even watch the games. They cannot watch the 3 p.m. games. They have to watch it on they have to stream illegal streams from America to watch it, because I can watch every 10 o'clock game I want. I have 3 TVs hooked up watching 3 different games. Look, I can't listen to them anymore. Their time is over. It's America's time. We're taking over the sport. We're taking it over. Wait till we win the World Cup. It's all over for all of us.
Yeah.
But no, look. I mean, I think some of the people, because it's different over there. They're on a little bit more of a fixed salary and a fixed income, and you start talking about having to put out $100 for this tournament, on top of paying for your TV license and all this stuff, and IPT, it starts to add up. And I mean,
yeah, no, it's understandable, but also it's like, if you're a fan and you can get everything at one price at one place, why wouldn't you do that?
It's $200 or $189 they said for MLS. Look, is that a lot? I mean, it's not cheap, but you get every game, and you can't think of it as a one-time payment. Basically, you're getting from February until November. You're getting 9 months of programming. So if you split that $189 up over 9 months, all of a sudden it's $10. It's $20 a month. $21 a month, and you spend more than that on
Breakfast.
a week of Starbucks is $30. Starbucks, every time you go to Starbucks, it's $6. Look, it comes down to, do you want to drink a coffee every day at Starbucks and be fancy, or do you want to be able to watch football? And I understand people have to make choices and stuff, and I'm fortunate enough where I can pay for all this stuff, and some people aren't as fortunate. And I get it, but at the same time, like, if it's something you love, just just do it. Like, I'm gonna be at the games anyway. But, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna be at the games, but I'm not, like, of course I'm getting this thing. Of course I'm getting it. I want to watch it.
Well, most of these streaming services will allow you between 2 and 3, logins, right? You could, with a friend, split this. Or split it with 3, and just and you're allowed to do that. So if you're allowed to do it, then be creative. Go find some friends who want to be partners with you on the deal.
$60 a piece. Now all of a sudden it's you're paying $1 a match. You pay for Game Changer. You pay for Game Changer to watch your kids. You're at an actual game, and you're paying $100 a year to see the box score, and you're at the game. Like, just like follow the game. No, I'm following the Game Changer. I'm like, but you're like right here. Like, I don't understand. Why are you watching Game Changer? Just watch the game. They're right there. They're right there. And they're like, nah, it's hard to follow. I'm like, this isn't the sport for you then. I don't know what to tell you.
Man.
But, like,
that would be like buying a game, going to a baseball game, buying a scorecard, and then watching the thing on your phone to see this, the box score. And you're like,
if you're saying like, listen, man, I can't afford
Mhm.
eggs anymore because it's like $10 a dozen, and my food bill is
Mhm.
look, look, I get it.
No,
Like
that's
food is
understandable.
crazy,
Sure.
and it's and this stuff is all luxuries, and we talk about
Mhm.
betting on here sometimes. This is all
Yeah,
luxury stuff. If you don't have disposable income to bet,
right.
like please
Understood.
don't be betting your grocery money on some soccer game or hockey game. Like you can't be
No.
doing that. But like, um, if you, you know, it is tough for some people. So, but I sympathize a little bit. I
Sure.
hear the people in England all the time talking about it because it is crazy. But I'll say to you, if you need an IPT TV hookup, let me know. I got you. It's $100 a year. You can watch that 9,000 channels. I will get you an
There you go.
IPTV hookup.
Well, the thing is, if they go ahead and do that, and they get a VPN with it, then they're golden. You can't.
Right? Yeah,
Nobody will make it. So
that's
there
right.
you go. That's on a PSA there for you. All right, shameless plugs. What's going on that you want to promote to keep
Uh,
an eye out
I
for?
mean, look. I haven't been on a lot, but we will. This will be the app is in development. Capital Sports Network will be part of a larger 10-channel, yet to be named
Group.
something entertainment group. There's going to be sports betting, sports talk, live sports, live music. There's
Mm-hmm.
going to be business talk on there. If you're a business person and you want to learn how to grow and scale your business, we're going to have podcasts on there. We're going to have technology podcasts on there.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks to my people at work. So it's coming. It'll all
Even,
be
even
launched
travel.
before.
Yeah.
What's that? It'll
Even
all
travel.
capitals. Yeah, yeah. If it all be launched before all the sports kick off, obviously, before football. Um, as soon as I get
Both of
three
them.
minutes to, as soon as I get 3 minutes to breathe. I don't have a lot of time right now to do stuff. I'll be working on stuff tomorrow because I have a day off. But yeah, that'll be good. And I know Jim's obviously going to be a big part of it. So Jim, you saw Mark Eckel on there. He'll be a part of it. Nary, who's been on, and Kyle, who's been on, and
Amadeus.
who's always on, and there'll be a lot bigger names than that, and
Mm-hmm.
we'll have college football and college sports. It's gonna be good. So just I see we got every day we got 130, 150, 160, 200, 300 people watching. So I imagine what it's gonna be like when we get some get it on Apple
Promotion.
TV, and we're going up against the MLS and the Club World Cup.
There you go. All right, everybody. Uh, Sean, thanks for joining us today, and have a great day.
You're
And
welcome.
we'll be ready. Drive safely out there, and we'll be ready to rock and roll tomorrow around the same time. Everybody, have a nice day.